And I'll share a story of this coach who was really frustrated when I got on a call with her. And she was struggling financially. She was struggling, and she was a parent. She was trying to do multiple things. And she said something in frustration. She's like, everybody thinks I'm successful, but I haven't even made my first sale.
I would spend time like designing a business card and a website and getting a domain name. And
I
like
did too.
thinking about my brand and like getting a WordPress plugin and programming that because I was used to programming things. And none of that, like that was all just avoidance, to be honest. It was, and I still see avoidance sometimes today. There's one client that I made a proposal to about, I think I calculated it was about a month and a bit ago, and I'd been avoiding sending him the follow-up message that I wanted to send. And then I decided to send it to him today. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm sending you this message. And I put a little testimonial from somebody else in it. Hey, it's Daniel, and you are about to watch a clip from our free podcast, The Coach's Journey, where we help you navigate the surprisingly difficult path of building a coaching business by people who are actually doing it. And we go live, raw and unedited every week in our free Facebook community. All right. Coaches Nation, welcome to another episode of the Coach's Journey podcast. I'm Daniel Fernandez. I'm here with my co-host, Faisal Ensan, and this podcast is sponsored by Coaching Master Community, which is a place for coaches to build their businesses. So if that's what you're doing right now, trying to build your business as a coach, we're here to support you because it's a pretty complicated journey. Today, we are going to talk about the trap that a lot of coaches, ourselves included, have fallen into and are continuing to fall into in various ways in their businesses, which is that you don't need more systems as a coach. Sure, you need systems, but what do you need and what do you not need is a really important question. And a lot of the times, coaches are, I would say from experience, but coaches are known for buying more systems and buying more programs or trying to do systems that they don't necessarily need if they want to build their business. And so please do comment. What are your questions? What are your responses? What are your insights? And forward this to coaches because they might be building systems that they don't need right now too. So Faisal, let's jump into this. I know this is from you. This is the topic that you picked. So why'd you pick this topic for today?
Systems. So I want to clarify from you too, because you mentioned two things. You mentioned programs and then systems. When I think of systems, I think of our internal systems, our habits.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Externally, it's the technology we use, the environment, the way we structure it. But it could be all sorts of things. So let's clarify what we mean by that first.
Yeah. So are you talking internal systems or external systems? This is a good question. I didn't know because I did not know the topic that you picked for the day until earlier.
Well, no. So I was referring to more on what kind of systems externally do you need to actually start building a business. And that's I look at it more around technology side. But when I heard programs, I'm like, okay, there could be all kinds of systems. It could be internal, external. It could be other software.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. I was thinking you meant external.
So I'm thinking more in terms of, well, what do you need to get organized enough, structured enough to be able to consistently show up in your business and to do the things that actually move your business forward rather than everything and anything under the sun.
Yeah, okay. So let me guess. The first thing you need is an enhanced keyboard.
You need the best office, the best environment, enhanced keyboard. You need the right logo behind you, and
you need a business card. You gotta have a really great business card or a website.
A website. You need the best message on your social media. We're being sarcastic. If you're
just
listening,
these are the things you don't actually need. There's a whole bunch of things that coaches think. Actually, let's talk about that. Let's go deeper. What things do coaches think they need that maybe they don't actually need?
Yeah.
We just listed a whole bunch. Any more come to mind? Let's just list off a few more.
So what we don't need is a complicated CRM system. What we don't need is a complicated payment system and client tracking system. What we don't need is a complicated marketing software system. What we don't need is what do you call it? A fancy website, a fancy logo, fancy hardware. Start with where you are and what you have. We'll go towards what are the essentials that will get you started, and then you can add as you get more resources, as you get more experience. Yeah. Now, of course, if you have unlimited amount of resources, if you have resources to spare, go nuts. but in the beginning, you have limited resources. You have limited bandwidth. How can you focus on the things that you actually need to move your business forward?
And nobody actually has unlimited resources because time is a resource, right? So if you have unlimited money, go nuts and spend money, but then you have all the stuff that you bought that you don't have time for to implement and to really do well. So like you actually don't have unlimited resources. I think that's really funny though. Yeah. But if you were independently wealthy, you could actually hire a lot of these things, but then you got to manage them, right? So like there's so many pieces of this puzzle because there's an identity shift here that's taking place as a coach, as a business builder that might be important. So I love all those. And, things you don't need also would be special tech, fancy tech. You can probably get by with just a Zoom, right? That's probably the thing you need. You don't necessarily need a fancy microphone. It can help. You probably don't need a fancy keyboard. It could help. You probably don't need a fancy anything. But sure, it can help. But what is the help that you need when? Right? You can build up all these constraints to actually making progress by focusing on systems. And that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, and there's a good question to just ask yourself when it comes to moving your business forward, and we'll set some criteria around it. But a good question to ask yourself is, what is the purpose of this thing? What is this going to help me do, and what will be the ROI? What will be the return on investment with this thing that I'm buying? And by the way, I think through programs the same way. I think through certifications the same exact way. What am I trying to do with it? Now, one of the things that coaches are famous for is they will just go find a bunch of learning programs. They'll go buy technology. They'll go buy a bunch of stuff. It sounds fun. It sounds exciting. It sounds, I like that stuff too. But then the more I've gotten focused, the more I've realized I actually avoid a lot of things that I don't need to get because it just saps away. Like Daniel mentioned, it takes, even if I have the monetary resource, I don't have the attention resource. I don't have the time resource to put into it, to learn it, to actually utilize it to move forward. It becomes a distraction. It becomes something that is actually impeding my progress.
And this is actually a really subtle point. I think it's really easy to say that. And then if you're a coach, like you don't see that you're doing it. Like even for me, like I'm probably doing some things that I don't need to be doing. And so I'm thinking about like the subtlety of this point for most of the journey of coaching. It's like, a lot of things that you're resisting doing are being replaced by the ones that you find more comfortable to do. It's definitely more comfortable to say like, oh, the problem I have is actually the systems are wrong. It's so comfortable and easy to say that. It's like, I don't have the right system. But usually it's actually, you don't have the right action, right? Like I think, tell me what you think about this, Faisal. I think it's possible for a coach to build their business with nothing but Zoom and literally nothing else.
It's definitely possible.
And maybe a spreadsheet or even paper you could do.
Yeah. Well, we are assuming that you have some of the basic things in there, like email or messaging. So we are assuming you have a phone with you. So
well, it depends. It depends. You could build it strictly via phone, right? You could just be a phone.
So phone.
It depends, right?
WhatsApp messaging, email, those kind of things. Like we're assuming that you have that. Then outside of that, you just need a communication software.
Something to so let's talk bare minimum, right? Communication software, so you can connect and communicate with people that could become your clients. You need a way to deliver the coaching, which is Zoom, right?
Zoom or equivalent software that could
Zoom or Google Meet, or there's lots of free stuff. You need a way to accept money, which could just be at the beginning. It could be Venmo. It could be Zelle.
Yeah, if you're in US, it's just Venmo. If you're like, let's say international, you could do like one of the payment systems. Which
PayPal.
Could be.
Yeah, you could actually be a solopreneur. Like you could do a sole proprietorship in the States, and you don't even necessarily need to have all the things that you need to set up, right? From a business perspective, you don't necessarily need all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you can get started and keep moving forward, eventually getting yourself into very little from a tech and setup point of view that you need. Like, is there anything we've missed in that bare list? A way to accept money, a way to do communication, a way to have calls. Anything else?
No, those are essentials. Like that's what you need to get started. From a technology and system standpoint. Now there's and the reason why people don't do that, because we again, when we're starting out, we don't have a frame of reference. We're thinking of 100 different things because we're given a menu of things to get for you
Feels
to.
like not enough if you're in the restaurant, right? It's like, oh, you could just have an appetizer and a drink and
Yeah.
a meal, and you don't have to have all the stuff in the buffet. You know?
So we went to this restaurant, and you go to some restaurants, you go, they have like a very short menu. You go there and you can quickly pick, and they even come in and recommend a couple of things. Versus you go to another restaurant, some of these restaurants I've gone to like 5 pages of menu.
Oh my gosh, I did that. I did. So I went and did an obstacle race this weekend, and after the race, we went to the restaurant. It was a Mexican restaurant. It was amazing, but there was like 150,000 choices. There was like 17 sections, and each of them had 10 things. I'm like, how many chefs do you have? Like, how can you make all these things?
I don't even know how they make that
I
stuff.
don't have time to think about this. And this feels like it's like when I was a kid, especially I remember as a kid at the buffet. My parents we go to a buffet, it's all you can eat, and like there's like 1,700 things to eat. I had to try every single one, and so it's like I had to like just get little bits of everything. But like, as an adult, I don't necessarily want to try everything as a buffet. But that's even different from imagine going to a buffet. Like the coaching world is like a giant, mega, hyper buffet that there's an infinite amount of floors, an infinite amount of like choices, an infinite amount of tools, infinite amount of everything you could do. How are you going to go in there and be like, okay, I just need this one little thing, and that one. I need 3 things, and that's all I'm going to take. And I'm going to do that for 5-6 months.
Yeah,
right?
and the reason why you don't know that is because one, the buffet is given to you by people who've been in business very long time. And also marketers or business coaches or people who have or just sharing their journey, and they might be actually sharing earnestly at best possible scenario. They're just sharing their journey, and worst case scenario, they're just actively manipulating you. But let's say give them the benefit of the doubt. They're giving you this menu of things you can do, but you don't have to do most of them because your business is not even close to where they are. In fact, most of the things I was taught 10 years ago, I'm starting to use them now. Literally, I'm starting to use them now with a team, with resources, with my business full time. Majority of the stuff that I spend time, energy, resources, and I'll share a story of this coach who was really frustrated when I got on a call with her, and she was struggling financially. She was struggling, and she was a parent. She was trying to do multiple things, and she said something in frustration. She's like, "Everybody thinks I'm successful, but I haven't even made my first sale." And I'm like, tell me a little bit more. She's like, I've set up this brand and I'm on social media and people listen to me and everybody assumes that but I don't even know what I'm doing in my business. So she actually copied the thing that a lot of marketers and people who are sharing their journey, but the surface part of it is like the outside part of it. She has nothing to show for it on the business, on the background side. And she's just as frustrated as ever. And she can't say otherwise because she's like, I thought I was supposed to do this, and I get it.
Yeah, I'm actually the opposite. In some ways, I'm exactly the same. Had been, but my social brand is like there's like I'm not even out there. Like I'm barely out there to speak with. But I can get clients. I signed a client just a couple weeks ago.
But going back to your journey in the beginning, what are the things that you were doing before you were getting?
I would do anything to avoid actually having the conversations, the outreach conversations, the like inviting people, canvassing my own network for conversations and opportunities to support, because I didn't know. I didn't have confidence, first of all. I didn't know what the path was. I didn't have CMC at the beginning, and even the early iterations of CMC, we didn't really understand that. And so I would spend time like designing a business card and a website and getting a domain name. And
I did too.
Thinking about my brand and like getting a WordPress plugin and programming that because I was used to programming things. And none of that, like that was all just avoidance, to be honest. It was, and I still see avoidance sometimes today. There's one client that I made a proposal to about, I think I calculated it was about a month and a bit ago. And I'd been avoiding sending him the follow-up message that I wanted to send. And then I decided to send it to him today. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm sending you this message. And I put a little testimonial from somebody else in it. And I was like, okay, that wasn't that hard. Why did I avoid that? I don't know why I avoided it.
I was watching a podcast with Mark Cuban. He was being interviewed, and it was really good. The podcast was about, are you when would you know to start your business or quit your job, something like. And he talked about his whole journey, how he started off. Guess what? Mark Cuban started as a sales hustler. He was all in sales, and even now, when he's talking about startups, at the end of it, he's like, forget about marketing, forget about operation, if you don't have sales in your business, you don't have a business. Pay attention. And then the host will agree to both of them very successful. Say is like, pay attention to your sales. Mm-hmm. And this is what I want. This is why I think there are a lot of dazzling, shiny objects in the world of marketing, business, sales. But the key for you, and the reason why we're recommending those three things of just all you need is Zoom, you need some kind of communication, and that's it pretty much, which is email, WhatsApp, and if you wanted to do some social media, all you need is your phone
and a way to get money, right?
And a way to get PayPal. So 3 or 4 things that are key basic. You don't need any of the other stuff. And the reason for that is that even in CMC, the way we talk about it is 70% of your efforts, well over 70% of your efforts are going to be in the outreach process, which means that you're reaching out to a bunch of people. You're supporting them, serving them, you're making an offer. And this is what Mark Cuban was talking about, is like most people, the reason why they don't go and they are not successful is because there's something that none of us like. It's hearing no. Nobody wants to hear no. Nobody wants to hear that, the thing that you're sharing might not be as good, or it's not for them. And he talked about his journey and everything. That was my struggle. Is like, even when I would say, it's like, I don't care about no's, I'll keep doing it. But subconsciously, exactly as you talked about it, I would delay the follow-up. I would delay.
Like, I don't know why I'm doing it. I think it's exactly what that was. Like, I don't want to get another no, but like, I don't care. Like, I've gotten so many no's, it doesn't even matter anymore, but I still will hesitate.
It's so deeply rooted. We don't realize how much of our psychology is driven by money, first of all, not getting it, and our needs are connected to it in some way, because we watch the people around us talk like that, act like that. I think it goes much deeper. It still affects me after years of, I feel like I've become very good at following up and all that stuff. I still have to. It's just that here's the difference. In the past, it would take me a month or months to follow up. Now it takes me a few minutes, max a few hours to follow, just because I've trained myself differently. I still have to deal with this stuff. But the opposite side of it, when I've talked to my clients who are entrepreneurial in nature, they come from entrepreneurial families. I've talked to other amazing leaders that I've met. To them, like, they've been trained so differently since childhood that no doesn't even mean anything to them. It's just like, let's go to the next one. Let's go to that one. It doesn't even register as a thing in their mind, the way they're trained. I think we're just, most majority of the people, fortunately or unfortunately, has been trained a certain way, and our psychology and our biology is like that too. We don't want to hear rejection. We don't want to hear that something we're delivering is not.
Well, it goes back to like when we used to be in the tribe, right? Back in the plains, back before, civilization, quote. We had our tribe of people, and if you get kicked out of the tribe, you would not survive, right? And so like, you don't want to do anything risky. And so it's like we're programmed to play it safe, because playing it safe keeps keeps us from sticking our neck out, keeps us from being kicked out of the tribe, keeps us from being eaten alive by all the animals. So like, that's a pretty natural thing. But we don't have those problems today. The version of that.
But we still have the training associated with it. We
don't have the animals chasing us today, but it feels like it in our biology.
And then we watch adults talk about money a certain way. They talk about, then we are in secure jobs or seemingly secure jobs. We just do the thing and move forward. We've all been grown up with a certain type of thinking that doesn't actually work in entrepreneurial world. Anybody listening to this, definitely get Robert Kiyosaki's book. It's Rich Dad Poor Dad. It'll give you some, even if you read the first chapter, I think you'll get the point.
Yeah, if you just saw the image of the cash flow quadrants, that would like just blow your mind if you've never heard this before. So.
It will help you understand that almost every training we have since childhood goes the opposite of how life teaches us and how entrepreneurial world works. And investors pick this up quickly, but they forget that there are so many other things in there that they haven't worked through either. But anyway, so coming back to 70% of your effort, if it goes towards just reaching out to people, connecting with them, finding out what they're struggling with, if that aligns with the coaching that you have, asking them, hey, would you like to be supported in that area, inviting them to a call, And then after the call, making an offer and then following up. That's the whole 70% plus of your business should be that. That doesn't require a fancy website, doesn't require a lot of other things. In fact, if you were to pick between website and social media presence or some kind of presence online, I would say be online. Forget about the website. Just have some kind of version of you going out there. That could be an article, that could be video, that could be any form of you going there. And especially with AI tools nowadays, which you could add as a bonus, you use that, you can generate 3 months, 6 months of content, make it a little bit more custom to you, put it out there. You don't need to do, you can do the whole thing in 1 hour, 2 hours tops. So if you align 70% of your efforts on the sales side, what will happen is you'll have a bunch of conversations and you will struggle. You'll struggle, and that's where your journey begins. Now you need to find out, why am I struggling to reach out to people? Why am I struggling to make an offer? Why is this? Why did the session not land? Why did the offer not seem valuable to the person? What is
why am I struggling to follow up?
Yeah. So those are the real problems as an entrepreneur you should be dealing with. But what you're dealing with is, what if I get this other thing? What if I get this card? What if I buy this next camera or get this logo or this funnel that I'm working on? None of that stuff matters in the beginning stage.
Yeah. Coaches, like, it's so easy to become a coach. So easy. You just call yourself a coach and you're done. You can take a training online, say like, hey, I'm trained or whatever, I'm certified in something. And you can just call yourself a coach so fast. But to be successful as a coach is really hard. There's a huge, there's no barriers to entry, but there's definitely a barrier to progress. And the barrier to progress is inside yourself, as well as knowing what you should be focusing on, like we're talking about today. But the biggest barriers to progress are actually internal. And that's why there's so many opportunities to be an excellent coach in the field, because most coaches aren't doing that work. They're not doing the hard stuff that helps them grow to the level of coaching that they can do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the hard stuff is what we're talking about, is that you actually putting yourself out there. That takes courage. That's hard to do, because there's already a potential for risk biologically, psychologically, socially. That risk is very hard for us to take. That's first step. Second step is actually reaching out to people, being okay with hearing that, no, this thing, people don't even want to try your discovery call. The third thing is going through a bunch of discovery sessions, and the other person, you're mustering up the courage to offer something, and they don't see it as valuable. Now you're seeing another level. Well, I thought I was a good coach, but maybe you're not. Maybe you need to refine your process. And that requires a lot of feedback. That requires for you to not listen to the next program. That requires you to be around other experienced coaches.